What's up, Buff Nation? Today I'm going to talk with you guys about something that I don't like to mention very much, but I think it's important to go over today. We all know that the best way to deal with haters is to absolutely just ignore them, which is what Coach Prime typically does, and it's what we usually do on this channel too. Now, this week, Josh Pate ran down his most hated teams in college football, and he saved one for last. I want you guys to watch this clip. It's about a minute, so stick with us, and then I want to talk about it.
Sanders, wherever he goes, if Deion wins, if they go above 500 and surprise people this year, wherever he is down the road, if he starts winning, legitimately being in the playoff conversation, you haven't seen hatred like that. Now, I think it'll be misplaced in a lot of cases because it won't be because of Deion himself. Rather, it'll be because of what we call the Deion Tax, which is this ridiculous hype balloon that cannot help but follow Deion Sanders because he transcends college football. He's bigger than college football. Folks who don't watch a single game all year know who Deion Sanders is. And because of the Deion Tax, you're going to take that out, not on the media, but on Deion. And so Deion will be hated no matter where he goes. I don't think he's bothered by it, but that's coming. It's already here. You saw it last year, but especially if they start winning. Are you ready for a world? Are you ready for a college football where Deion Sanders has his team in playoff contention rather than just the generic conversation? For many of you, the answer is regrettably no.
Pate breaks this down phenomenally. And I'm going to just give you guys the answer now, and then we'll talk about it later. But to the question of why do people hate on Coach Prime, why do they hate on the Buffs? It's not necessarily Colorado. It's not necessarily the university. It is a lot to do with Coach Prime. And, of course, the things like jealousy come in, the things like not being as good. But the average person is not as good as any college football coach out there. The average person is not as good as any college football athlete that's out there. It's not just Shador. It's not just Travis. What does it all kind of come down to? The average college football fan just doesn't like how much attention the media gives Coach Prime. They don't like the absolute wall-to-wall coverage that Coach Prime gets. And Pate just told you why he gets that coverage. It's because he's bigger than the sport. In many ways, LeBron James right now is bigger than the sport of basketball. That's just a fact of the matter. You may hate LeBron, you may love LeBron. It doesn't matter. He's bigger than that sport. Lionel Messi is bigger than the sport of football at times. And so, if you don't like Coach Prime, if you don't think that he's the man for the job, whatever, it's probably worse because the media focuses on Coach Prime so much. If you don't like LeBron, it's probably worse for you because he's all that ESPN and SportsCenter talk about. And so it makes it worse for people. But they don't take that out on ESPN. They don't blame that on SportsCenter. No, they blame it on LeBron. They blame it on Coach Prime. And Josh Pate talked about that. He's not somebody you are mad. You're directing that anger to the wrong place. Coach Prime hasn't done anything. Coach Prime's not the one that follows himself around with the ESPN cameras everywhere that he goes. No, ESPN does that. Now, you may hate well-off media and the different outlets that cover Coach Prime personally, but you don't have to subscribe to those. You don't have to watch any of those. I don't think that's what people are upset with. I think people are upset with the fact that our national media covers him the way that they do. And so they blame Coach Prime for some reason instead of the ones who are covering him the way that they are. Again, Coach Prime being bigger than the sport of college football was really interesting to hear Pate say. Again, who would I say is maybe like that? Maybe Tom Brady at the end of his career, maybe LeBron James right now, maybe MJ at certain points. But the bigger thing besides all of this is the fact that Pate said this. Coach Prime is not bothered by it. Deion Sanders is not bothered by this at all. He mentioned, are the haters out there ready for a world where Coach Prime has his team in college football playoff contention? And Pate is right. The answer for many people is no. They are not ready for that. They could not stand to see that. They would not like it at all. And if it happens, if we get to that point, which many of us think we will, if you're tuned in and you're subscribed and you're locked in with this channel, you probably agree with me. It will be a different level of not only coverage, but hate that comes with it, because the casual fan can't stand to see Coach Prime successful. Coach Prime has done a phenomenal job of brushing that hate off, of not letting that impact him. On the outward appearance, he will not give it life. He will not give it breath. And we're not pointing out any one specific thing today. We're not trying to give life and breath to the haters. So I hope you don't mind us covering this, but I do think it's an interesting thing to look at. But Coach Prime very much brushes this off outwardly. But what I will tell you about Coach Prime and any other successful person is that they do the opposite internally. They let the hate inspire them. They let the noise, they let the commotion around them inspire them to be better. Sometimes that personal inspiration is hard to get up. Sometimes that personal, how are we going to do this, is hard to get up. But when you are inspired by others, when that hate fuels you and drives you to be better, it can let you reach new heights. I remember the commercial of Kobe Bryant that was played at the very end of his career. I think it aired the night of his last game, where all of the haters were booing and all of the haters were absolutely ripping him to shreds. And he looked like a orchestra conductor, just raining in the boos on himself, and he let that inspire him. If you watch the Michael Jordan documentary, he talked about that. If the other team wasn't talking trash to him, he would make up talk trash. He would think in their mind, I don't like the way that guy looked at me, and he'd use that to inspire him. Tom Brady's talked about that. Travis Kelce has talked about that. Pat Mahomes has talked about that in the NFL. And don't think that Coach Prime's any different. What's next for Coach Prime here? This will be the year to prove it. This is the prove it year for Coach Prime. This is the year that he's set up in one of the best situations that he can be. The Big 12 has an automatic qualifier. He brings back one of the best quarterbacks in the country in his son. He brings back one of the best players in the country in Travis Hunter. And he brings in an offensive line that can finally let his team compete. Again, the hate is at a fever pitch, but just wait for it if the Buffs can start to see some success. Just wait for it if Colorado can get to the levels that they want to get to. They underperformed last year based on a lot of people's expectations, or really just based on the start of the year. They outperformed the Vegas win total by half a game. They quadrupled the win total from the year before. They looked really good down the stretch, but they couldn't find a way to get over the hump in a lot of those one-score games. But if they can do that this year, if they can get to where they want to get to this year of 9, 10, 11 wins, a Big 12 championship, a college football playoff, if they can hit some of those goals with the talent that they have coming back, buckle up. Because the coverage will be like something you've never seen before. The hate will be like something you've never seen before, and it will only inspire Coach Prime to be bigger and better and do it all better again the next year. I appreciate you guys that are locked in with us. I appreciate you guys that are subscribed and part of the channel. I would love to hear your comments and your thoughts on this. Do you remember that Kobe commercial? Do you remember that from the MJ documentary? I hope you related with some of those talking points that we talked about today. If not, we'll try and get better next time. We've got a fun video coming out probably tomorrow, talking a little bit about Colorado's defensive coordinator. We appreciate you guys for being locked in with us, and thank you for watching the prime time for college football.